me get off the slant. Turn. Get up for a second. Let's get like this.
You want to sit on this side and I'll sit on that side?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Okay, we're gonna do a little stretching.
I should have done this in a dress on. I wonder if I could lay flat like that. I haven't tried. I definitely can't do it way again.
Ooh, I have a stretch for that.
Do you?
Yeah,
oh
I'll send it to you.
Can't do it like that.
I'll send it to you. Okay. Hello, ladies. My name is Leah, or Leah K. I am a spiritual life coach. I help women with self-love, confidence, manifesting, conscious creation, alignment, and all that good stuff. I am a Reiki Master Teacher. I am an Akashic Records reader, and I'm here with my good friend, Amanda, who's also a coach. And what else do you do?
I'm a spiritual coach, and basically I help women align spiritually, and I help bring them peace in the midst of chaos and help them create the lives that they basically desire.
Yay!
Yes.
So we are here today doing a little bit of breath work, a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of grounding and stretching, and we wanted to talk to you guys today about giving yourself permission. So, giving yourself permission is something that you might have heard before, something that you might not have heard before, but basically, we're all human. You are where you are. Your current reality is what it is, and if you want to move past anything in your life, you have to give yourself permission to be where you are in the first place. So whether it is that you want to lose weight, you want a career change, whether you want to improve your relationship, whatever the case may be that you're working on, you have to give yourself permission to be where you're at. The only way to get through something is to grow through it. So how can you give yourself permission to be where you're at? Now, a lot of times when we don't want to be where we're at, we might have difficulty accepting it. We might be a little bit into self-judgment, maybe talking down to ourselves and things like that. We might try to repress our emotions, or just tell ourselves whatever to move past it, but those things really don't work, and the energy is actually going to stay in your body and in your cells until you give yourself permission, accept that you have these emotions, accept that you're stuck in this place, allow yourself to be there without getting complacent, without being lazy. You allow yourself to be there. All right, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm feeling. I'm allowed to feel this.
With
and
love
then,
and compassion.
yes, with love and compassion, you work on releasing it and letting it go. But if you can't accept it and give yourself permission to feel those things or to be going through that situation, it's going to be a lot more challenging to move through it.
Exactly. So, for example, I mean, I know I'm married and I have 2 children, so I know it's very hard for me to give myself permission to do certain things because I'm always in the mindset of I have to provide for my children, I have to provide for my household, I have to provide for my husband, I have to make sure dinner is done, I have to make sure the house is clean. But then what am I doing for myself? So I have to give myself permission to be able to do my work with my clients. I have to be able to give myself permission to make time and set a schedule. Okay, I'm going to set aside this amount of time. I'm going to give myself permission because I get to work with my clients, and that is not only helping them, but it's helping me as well. So it's an exchange. It's an energy exchange. So and that's what you're looking for in a coach, and especially spiritually speaking, you want to give yourself permission to do things. If you want something, you need to bring that you need to speak it out loud and give yourself permission so the universe and your spirit guides and your angels can conspire and bring what you want into fruition.
Yes. Giving yourself permission to receive. That's what I got from that. That can be very challenging. Giving yourself permission to receive the manifestations that you've asked for. A lot of times we might ask the universe for something, but we don't really allow it in. See, when you say something, like even in the Bible, it says, ask and you shall receive. And spirituality is the same concept. When you ask something, the universe says, okay. And the universe knows the quickest way to bring that manifestation into fruition. But you have to allow yourself to receive it. And also giving yourself permission, like she said, for self-care. And giving yourself permission to feel is my biggest struggle, because I always feel like as a healer, as a Reiki master teacher, as a life coach, as a leader in my community, right? As an expert in my field, I feel like I should be more healed than I already am. I'll get annoyed, I'll get frustrated, I'll get disorganized, I'll get in a funk where I start waking up late and I get or I might have an emotional reaction, I might act out on frustration or triggers, and I'm like, I shouldn't be feeling this because I've been Reiki certified since 2019, or I have all this experience, or I help these women get these results, so I shouldn't feel like this. But that's bullshit, you guys. We're humans, and we're
constantly evolving. We're constantly evolving, and we're constantly shedding our old selves. Like there's
layers to this shit.
Layers and layers and layers.
Lots of layers. And one thing that I like to remind myself, I've been this way for, let's say, 30 years. Sunday was my 30th birthday, so let's say I've been stuck in my ways even for 10 years. Let's say I've been consciously stuck in my ways for 10 years, right, since my 20s. It's going to take more than 2 weeks or 6 months or a year of consistently practicing the opposite. It's going to take time for the physical to catch up. We change energetically first, in the we heal the mind first, and then the body follows. So,
and then the results follow.
Yes, it takes time. I was Reiki certified for a year, and I didn't feel like I saw any growth. And my friend would tell me, like, oh, I've noticed these changes. And I would be like, well, thanks for acknowledging, because I don't see it. But once I started really thinking back to how I used to be in my mind, like the way I used to think, the thought, when I was doing a workout, when I was a new mom, right, and I would do a workout and I couldn't get through the whole workout or whatever, I would basically talk shit to myself in my head. So I've come a long way from doing that, from having that negative internal narrative going on, or like beating up on myself when I emotionally react, or when I experience, any emotion, or when I don't get stuff done, like sometimes the most productive thing you can do is rest too. Like if you're an overachiever, or if you're somebody who always feels like you have to be productive to be successful, sometimes what you have to do is rest. And give yourself permission to rest is a whole other topic, because that's something that I struggle with. If I'm resting, my mind is going and going and going about all the things I could and should be doing,
it's
right?
like you kind of feel guilty because you're like, oh, I should be doing this right now. I should be doing this right now. I should be doing this right now. But you have to give yourself that time to regenerate. You have to give you have to allow your body and your mind and, you know, your consciousness to all align together. And it's energy. Everything is energy. So you have to take the time to rest and give yourself permission to do that with love and compassion.
So let's talk about some ways that you can give yourself permission to feel, give yourself permission to rest, give yourself permission to be where you're at. One thing that I like to do, I will get it out to a friend. I will tell a really close friend, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And I know that I'm going into self-judgment. I know that I feel like I shouldn't, feel this way, but I'm going to allow myself to sit in it and to feel all of the feelings, all of it. I'm going to get it out to someone. If it's not a friend, it's going to be my coach, to be honest. And then when I'm ready, after all that, she's going to tell me why that's bullshit. She's going to tell me why that's bullshit. But I like to get it out. Whether it's in a journal, whether it's to a coach, whether it's to your therapist,
yes,
I like
is very
to
powerful.
Get it out. Sometimes I write a letter to myself, or even to the person. If there's a person involved, you can write a letter to your body, and just really, all right, I'm human. I'm allowed to feel this way. I'm allowed to feel this way. I'm going to feel all these feelings. I'm going to get it out, and then what am I going to do about it after I have processed these emotions? What are you going to do about it then? So, how are some ways that you give yourself permission? Me is by getting it out and then just doing the thing. Whether it's resting, whether it's feeling, just do the thing.
That's pretty much the same process that I go through. I usually go to a friend and then I'm like, I might sit in it for a little bit. Like I might sit in it for like a day or two or whatever. But then I'm like, okay, no, Amanda, come on. Let's process through these feelings. Let's not shut them down. So I'll usually reach out to a friend, same thing, or I'll reach out to my coach and then I get the feedback that I need. And then I usually, what really helps me a lot is I journal out like my prayers to the universe, to my spirit guides, to God, the divine, the source, and I get all of it out, and then I start implementing what I want done. So if I want to give myself permission to buy anything, if I want to just buy something for myself, if I want to go to Victoria's Secret and I want to buy myself a new bra, okay? So if I want to go do that, I will write it down. I give myself permission to buy whatever I want, and then the universe will conspire with you, and it'll provide you with the money that you need. It'll provide you with the transportation that you need. It'll provide you with the ease and the feeling of this is okay. And it doesn't make you feel, and it doesn't, the guilt goes away, the shame goes away. So, even
the buyer's remorse.
Yes, the buyer's remorse. Or even having to set time aside with kids, okay? So like being a mom, like I have to give myself permission to go outside and do some grounding and do some yoga, because with the two kids, it's a lot, and I need to be able to be the best mom that I can be, of course. Every day I strive to be a better person every single day. But I have to give myself permission, so I'll write it down. I'll say, okay, today, this is what I'm going to do. And I give myself permission to go and work on myself, whether it's working on myself, working on my business, working, helping out a friend. Giving back is something that's always important too, especially if you feel guilty doing it. Like you have to give yourself permission to do these things, because it's essential for your healing, it's essential for your alignment, and it's essential for your well-being, ultimately.
I love it.
Yes.
So another way that I will allow myself to feel the feelings and really process those emotions is music. I was a huge fan of emo music in high school because listen, whenever you're going through breakup, mental health, any of that stuff, you can turn on Chiodos or Mayday Parade or Bring Me the
Anything
Horizon
that makes
or
you feel high
country
vibe.
music. No, I will put on the sad music. I'll put
Well,
on like
yeah, I do
the
that
sad
too.
music, and because it makes me remember that, like, okay, everybody
have emotions,
experiences
yeah.
these emotions. Yeah, so I'll put on the emo music, I'll get it out, and then I'll switch it back to Lil Wayne, and I'll start my twerking, and I'll
Standing.
get it out of my sacral chakra. I'll start moving. Your chakras, you guys. One of the ways you can help keep your chakras balanced and clear is by movement. And so yeah, I will throw on the emotional music, and then I'll throw on the hip hop. I'll start dancing
Like hip
around my
hop or
kitchen.
Spanish music, and then I'm like, oh,
Yes.
then I'm moving.
Yeah, Spanish music for the sacral chakra.
Yep,
Yes, I listen to some sacral drumming. I might do some like chanting, but
Yep.
physically shift the energy in your body with movement, with music, with singing, your voice. There's different chants that go with each chakra, but these can all help you with releasing the energy, that you want to release. And then after you give yourself permission, you release it. Yes.
Yes.
So giving yourself permission is essential in your growth, because you're on your journey, and if you're hating yourself or talking shit to yourself or mad at yourself or wishing that you were somewhere else the entire way, it's just going to take you so much longer to get
heal.
through it. You're holding yourself back by doing those things. You can just feel the shit, get it out, transmute the energy, turn it back into a positive, and keep it moving. And then, just show up.
And anything you say that you have negative to say to yourself, you can always turn it around and into a positive message.
Affirmation, yes.
Affirmations are very important. That's another, another way that I do this, is because sometimes I'll get in my head and I'll be like, no, I should be doing this or that, like I said, and then I have to turn it around. No, I get to do this. I am blessed to have this opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom and be with my kids and work from home, and be able to have the freedom that I want. So you have to change your language a little bit, because every bit of language, everything that comes out of your mouth is going out into the universe. So everything is energy. So it's like every little word is a little prayer, kind of, if you want to think about it like
think
that.
Think of it as like a text message to the universe. That's what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it now. So it's really important, like she said, to recognize those limiting beliefs. Like if you're in heavy emotion and you're talking shit, or you're in, self-doubt, judgment, all those negative things, right? How can you transmute that into a positive? Like she said, I am getting really great at doing this on the spot mentally, but when I hear something negative, it's a limiting belief. That's all it is. And I can rewrite it pretty much mentally on the spot. So rewriting those, like she said, is an amazing tool. Affirmations, especially, because the most powerful sound on the universe to your body is your own voice. And I will say, like, when I started first doing affirmations, they didn't really resonate because I wasn't in that space. I didn't feel that positive. But the more I healed myself, the more they started to resonate. And so now if I go on a little rampage of affirmations, I'm going to feel really good in 3 minutes. But it takes some time. So it takes time, and it takes consistent practice. So don't be mad at yourself for your setbacks, or having the emotional reaction again, or, sending the text, or whatever it is that you might be mad at yourself for. The self beat up and the self judgment and the negative self-talk is really just going to set you back further. So if you can just understand that you're human and these emotions are human, and transmute the energy, and then keep it moving,
because it doesn't serve any positive purpose. It doesn't serve beating ourselves up, or saying, being disappointed in ourselves, or having those negative self-talk it's not doing us of any good. All it's doing is bringing us negative energy. So we want to bring ourselves positive energy, and when you do that, you kind of block it out. It's like and it can be very damaging. And I've been on this journey for pretty much the same time, like about 10 years or so, I've been on this spiritual journey. And yes, it completely takes practice. Everything takes practice for it to roll off, come out of your head and be like, no, I have to turn this thought around. It takes a lot of practice. But you just, even if you keep doing it and you keep beating yourself up, just say, okay, you know what, the next time I say this to myself, I'm going to say this instead. And then that's where you can pull out the pen and paper, and you can even write it down on paper, and then you read it out loud, because like she said, the most powerful thing is your voice and hearing your affirmations out loud. So you can write down what you're feeling, maybe the negative feeling, and then you can write underneath it, you can change it into a positive thing. What's an example? So I feel stressed out. Okay, so what I would change that to is, what can I do to relieve my stress? Or I can go run to relieve my stress. So instead of saying, oh, I feel so stressed out all the time, or I feel like I have no time management skills, or anything that you're thinking negatively, you can always turn it into something positive and try and turn it into a positive action, so that way you can implement these practices into your life on a daily basis, and that way it becomes a way of life. So it generates inside of you, and that's who you start becoming ultimately.
Embodiment.
Yes. Embodiment. Yes.
What was I gonna say? I almost forgot.
Let's see.
I'm like really distracted by nature, you guys. That's one thing. I'm
It's
easily
beautiful
distracted,
outside.
and we're in South Florida, and there's a breeze, and usually it's really hot and the sun is bearing down on you, but it feels really amazing. Earthing and grounding is an amazing technique for bringing it back down to earth.
Yes.
There is actual research on earthing. If you look it up, 15 minutes a day of actually connecting with nature, whether you're putting your hand on a tree, putting your hands in the grass, putting your feet in the grass, getting in the ocean, all of those things actually have healing benefits. It's called earthing. It's an amazing technique. And for me, someone who has a lot of high resting energy, I'm always on the go. I talk a lot. I talk very quickly. I move very quickly sometimes. So it's very important for me to bring it back down to earth and to ground. So yeah, when you're in the process, right, giving yourself permission, go on the walk, take the nap, read the book, go take the bubble bath. If you can't spend any money, there are still other things that you can do.
Yes, of course.
Go stretch outside.
That's what I do. Workouts from home. I don't really go to a studio or anything like that. I have right now, in the midst of this whole pandemic, I am doing virtual schooling with my 2 kids. So while they're doing school, I work on my business. I do work with my clients, and then I do yoga at home, and I do my workouts at home. So everything is pretty much at home for me, and then I'll come out and I'll do some earthing or grounding outside, and I'll do some meditation, and I'll put on some, some light music, or, whatever vibe I'm feeling. Really, you can meditate to any type of music. It doesn't have to be one set thing. So it's a way for you to, not only silence the mind, but also become in tune with yourself. It's also an embodiment, pretty much, like in tune.
You started moving when you said that.
Sorry, I'm like,
I love it.
Because like
so
when I do it, like I move side to side. It's just like, it's like I don't know, it's my spiritual intuition to just move side to side and to kind of like flow with the energy. That's like I just start moving.
Yeah.
Like and it's instinctual. I can't help it.
You are who you are.
Yes.
You're at where you're at. You have the feelings you have. So allow that to happen, and then think about, all right, if I'm not happy with where I'm at or what I have, what do I want? And then write that down, and then give more energy to what you want than to what you don't want. Because if we're sitting here, this is one thing, right? Like if you go vent, right? If you go tell your life coach and then you vent, Leave it at that. Don't go call your mom and your brother and your sister and your cousin and everybody, because you're just repeating the story. The universe is hearing you. The universe is going to bring you more of that. So you want to really get it out, let it go, release it and let it go in any way that you can do that, whether it's a letter, whether you need to go get hypnosis or try NLP or, try
Even
Reiki.
ceremonies.
She's going to be getting Reiki certified by me in a couple weeks, and one of the biggest lessons in Reiki is that we do what we can do and we leave everything else to the universe. It is what it is. We do everything that we can do. We take inspired action. We show up. We work on ourselves. We gain awareness. We do everything that we can do, and then we leave the outcome to the universe. And that's one of the greatest lessons in Reiki that I'm really, is hitting home with me. Do what you can do. You are who you are. You are where you are at. You can do what you can do, and then you just leave it to the universe and fully step into that place of trust that the universe is supporting you, and whatever it is, you're gonna get through it. It's temporary. And yeah, just giving yourself permission to feel, to be, to do, to have, whether it's whatever, self-care. Some of you need to take a break. Some of you need to sign up. Some of you need to maybe drop out. Whatever it is, you don't need anyone else's permission, validation, or acceptance, because you intuitively know who you are, what you want, and what you're meant to do. If you follow, actually, emotions are a blessing. Like, I used to get so frustrated because I'm such an emotional person. I feel so deeply.
I'm a highly sensitive person too, so like I wear my emotions on my sleeve.
If I'm any type of anything, the whole room can feel it, and I'm like, sorry. I used to get so frustrated with that, but I am this way for a reason. I know that it serves a purpose, and all I can do is embrace it and own it. If you can embrace it and own it, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. Everything that we go through has to be gone through to get where we want to be. Only the universe or God or source, whatever you believe in, knows the path. But you have your emotional guidance system, which is your intuition. So when something doesn't feel good, it's either something that needs healed or something that you need to move on from or something that you need to work on. And, follow what feels good, follow what lights you up, because your intuition will lead you to the full manifestation of your desires. But it starts with allowing yourself to be who you truly are.
And knowing who you truly are, because sometimes you don't even know who you truly are. You don't even know what you like. You don't even know what you desire. You don't even know these things. And I went through a period of this when I was, years ago, and it still comes up. Sometimes I'm like, okay, well, what do I want now? What do I want to start working on now in my life? It's constantly, it's like riding a wave. It's kind of like it's going through the motions, and enjoying the ride and not enjoying the scenery. Like, you can either choose to look you can either choose to look at the positive side of things or the negative side of things. But I'll give you an experiment. Just try focusing on the positive things, and I bet you that the universe or God will bring you everything that you want into fruition. I've seen it time and time again in my life, especially, not even over these past 10 years, going back 15 years, it's even when I was a teenager, it's very important to pay attention to the positive instead of the negative, because the negative is just going to bring you down, and you have to, when you stop focusing on the negative and you move on to the positive, that's when you're going to see your positive results, and that's when you're going to start feeling better also. Not to say that negative emotions aren't going to come up, but that's when you do the work again. That's when we process. That's when we journal, or that's when we talk to a friend or our coach, and then we do the same thing all over again. It can be for, many different things.
Yeah, the emotions are going to happen. It's just allowing yourself to feel them and then moving through it. Because if you don't move through it, what happens is that negative energy, that reaction, our cells hold memory and water holds memory. So what happens is that negative energy actually does get stuck in our body. There's specific organs, specific chakras that are related to different emotions. The emotion code chart is really amazing. It helps you identify which emotions get trapped in which part of the body. The emotion code is an amazing book that talks about releasing emotions, how they get trapped in our body, and how they negatively affect our physical health, among other things. So
like my eye.
Allowing yourself to feel it and then really releasing it is the most important part. Like, you want to do whatever you can do to transmute the energy. And like she said, show yourself evidence, right?
Yeah.
Like, you might be sitting here thinking like, oh, I suck at this, or I'm so inconsistent, I'm so unorganized, or I knew the conversation was going to go that way, or this happened, whatever it is, right? You're thinking, all right, that's how I feel right now. That's cool. I'm going to write all that down, and then I'm going to be like, how can I show myself that this isn't true? Like, one of my friends called me, and she was like, I cannot share what I'm going through with my mom because my mom gets emotional, and then I have to be the parent. And I said, you have to be the parent? She said, yeah, I have to be the parent. I have to comfort my mom.
No.
Do you have to? Or can your mom feel her emotions, and can you feel your emotions? And she was like, well, I mean, I'm not actually the parent. I guess I don't have to be the parent, and it doesn't have to go that way. But as long as you keep repeating that story and keep buying into it, guess what? It's going to continue to go that way. So you have to be open to seeing a new perspective and like, well, that's not true because I'm actually not the parent, and I don't have to be the parent, and there's nothing forcing me to be the parent except for my own mind that tells me I now have to parent my mom. So it's not true that she has to be the parent. She's still the child.
See, I have the same story. It's so funny that you brought that up because I have the same situation with my mother. She, growing up, I was always, I was always the mother or the one being more responsible instead of, partying all the time or whatever, because, she was a bartender, and that's just the industry that she was in, and that was the environment that she was in. So I would take care. I'm an only child. I don't have any brothers or sisters, so I would take care of myself a lot. And as I got older, I started to realize, like, listen, I don't need to take on this responsibility. As soon as I had my own, had my first child, and then I got married a couple of years later and had another child, I was like, no, I don't have to deal with these abusive behaviors from her anymore. I don't have to do this. I can set boundaries and say, no, I can't do this for you, or you're not allowed over if you're going to do X, Y, and Z. And you have to set boundaries. They're very healthy, and of course it makes me upset because it's my mother, and it can be very difficult to live without somebody, but it's not forever, and it's not to say that things won't change. I just have to set boundaries for my family and myself, so that way I don't feel like, oh, I have to be the parent. No, I'm not the parent. I'm my children's parent. And she is their grandmother, but if she makes her own choices, and she has lived years living a certain way, so it may take some time to unlearn those behaviors, but until that time comes, I have to set certain boundaries with her.
In addition,
yes,
she can also fight that story by showing herself evidence of all the times that she gets to be the child. So
yes.
That's another aspect to this, because you want to give your brain a new perspective. So, okay, your brain is always trying to prove your ego to be true. Your brain is always looking for your beliefs to basically be proven to you. So if you want to manifest new relationships, if you want to manifest a new story, any of those things, you have to give you have to give your brain new evidence to look for. And it takes time, it takes consistently showing yourself that evidence, right? So she can show herself, she can write down all the times that it didn't go that way with her mom, or all the times that maybe she got to be the child, or maybe now she's nurturing her inner child and she gets to be the child. That's now maybe she gets to play with her kids and be the child in that situation. So she can I guess, contradict that story, and then her brain will start looking for the new evidence.
Start
And
rewiring.
that's why affirmations are so important, because your brain will look for the new evidence. Your cells want that to resonate. So your brain will start to, search for that. And if you're like, I'm going to give up on this because it's not working, then you have to understand your old patterns are much easier for your brain to grasp onto. You've been doing that your whole life, or for the last 10 years or 5 years or whatever the case. So that's much easier to fall back into that pattern. So you have to continually put energy into the new evidence, the new story, the new pattern, the new emotion,
The
whatever
new
it
belief
is.
system, the new mindset.
Yes. So, I'm excited. So yeah, this week, let me know how you are giving yourself permission, what you're giving yourself permission to be, to do, to feel, to have, whatever the case. And how are you going to practice that? How can you integrate this? All right, I'm going to give myself permission to, what am I going to do today? I don't know. I gave myself permission to have fun and to collaborate and to ask for support.
Yeah.
So I came over here. I asked her for support, and so I gave myself permission today. What are you going to give yourself permission to do today?
Well, I gave myself permission to do this today instead of just isolating in the house.
Right.
So I gave myself permission to do that, and then later I'll probably give myself permission to do some yoga and do some meditation and do some inner healing work that I'm working on with my coach. So I have homework to do, but it's a good thing because it's all inner work. It's all getting through these layers and, actually thinking of these important questions that we want to ask ourselves so we can evolve and become better people and become better human beings.
And I have to acknowledge her because she's getting Reiki certified. And I remember when I made that investment, giving yourself permission to invest in yourself, to learn new things, and to go after your dreams, because we live in a society that does not really support dreamers, right? A lot of people will tell you to get a job, or you shouldn't spend money on that right now, or you need to think about your responsibilities, but that's all BS. And I'm just gonna say it is what it is. It's BS, because self-care and investing in your growth is super, super important, especially if you're raising a family. So I'm going to acknowledge her for making the investment to get Reiki certified and investing in herself and investing in her growth and her spiritual practice. And, she's going to be able to share that with you guys. We're going to collaborate on some Reiki events, so I'm looking forward to that. And if this resonates with you, let me know if you're gonna practice it in the comments and how it worked out for you. And today is the last day to join Higher Self with the 333 discount, where I help connect women to their higher self so they can transcend negative patterns, negative beliefs, self-sabotage, and start manifesting their dream life. You guys, we are powerful, powerful, powerful creators. So know that you are magic, and with the right support system, it makes all the difference. Love and light.